Hello, my name is Donald Fisher, and I'm Vice President of MCI. MCI stands for Memphremagog Conservation Inc., a volunteer organization in business for over 40 years, helping to protect the health of Lake Memphremagog and its watershed. Now, I'm very happy to introduce geologist Michel Duteau, who's going to bring us on a journey around the lake, and along the way, show us some good environmental practices that we should all be doing. As we travel with Michel, it's going to become very apparent that Lake Memphremagog is a legacy and a treasure, and is worthwhile saving for the enjoyment of the future generation.
I'm Michel. I was involved in Operation Health of the Lake in 2004, where we saw that Lake Memphremagog had some pretty important usage limits. I'm a biologist. I'm specialized in freshwater ecology, and I work most of the time in erosion control. What's going on with a lot of our lakes in the townships is that they're living in accelerated eutrophication. What is accelerated eutrophication? Accelerated eutrophication means that our lakes are growing old much faster than they should be. What are the symptoms of accelerated eutrophication? Symptoms are things like overgrowth of plants, the fact that the bottom of the lake becomes all muddy with sediments, the oxygen level in the water column diminishes, drops down significantly. Also, cyanobacteria are some of the symptoms of an accelerated eutrophication. What are the consequences? The consequences of an accelerated eutrophication will be important usage limits. These usage limits can be such things like it becomes a lot less interesting to go swimming because it's all full of plants, the bottom of the lake is muddy. It also becomes a lot less interesting to go fishing because the species, the sports fish species, they're fleeing, they're disappearing when there's no oxygen in the water column. We shouldn't forget that the value of our houses, the value of our land by the lakes, by the rivers, are going down when the lake is being eutrophied. Usage limits can go all the way to important public health problems, like we've seen in the case of cyanobacteria. We can't drink the water, we can't even touch it. The cause of accelerated eutrophication, it is an excess of phosphorus in sediments. Where are they coming from? Where is that phosphorus in sediments produced? They are produced by our way of living, our way of consuming, our way of occupying the land. What can I do, me, as a landowner, anywhere in the watershed, maybe on the river, on the stream, anywhere else, or by the lake, to bring back the equilibrium of phosphorus? I'll make sure that the direct income of phosphorus from my land will be diminished as much as possible. I'll make sure that my septic system functions right, and I'll respect the buffer zone. On my land, in my yard, how can I cut phosphorus at the source? I'll cut phosphorus at the source when I'm using as few fertilizers as possible and that I'm using household products that do not contain any phosphorus at all. Why is it that important to cut fertilizers on my land? It is so very important because half of the quantity of phosphorus that is contained in the fertilizers are going down to the hydric system as soon as it rains. Maybe for compost, maybe for chemical fertilizers. The content in phosphorus is going to have the same effect on your land as in the lake. It is going to enhance the growth of plants. How can I make sure that the household products that I'm using do not contain phosphorus? I'll just check on the sticker. Nowadays, the bigger companies, they are so proud of it. When there's no phosphorus in their products, they'll write it down. Maybe for your dishwashing liquid, for your laundry detergent, or any other household products, it'll be written down on the sticker when it doesn't contain phosphorus. Checking that my septic system functions right, there's no rocket science there. I'll just check the level of the tank regularly, and I'll make sure to empty it as needed. If I'm seeing that the soil is a little too humid, that the grass is grown very thick and very dark green around the septic system, that there's strange smells coming out from there, well, it probably means that I've got some leaks. I'll have to have it checked by a professional. What do I hear with the buffer zone? What is a buffer zone? The buffer zone, it is that zone in between the lake or the river or the stream, whatever, and the residential area. It is 10 to 15 meters. The vegetation will be let to grow freely in that zone. If I still got shrubs, if I still got trees in that zone, it is so very important to keep it. Sadly enough, on way too many properties, everything's been cut. I'm growing some grass all the way down to the lake, all the way down to the river, and the buffer zone has disappeared. Why is it so important to keep this buffer zone or to bring it back if it doesn't exist on my land anymore? It is that it is the shield of the lake. It is the #1 protective zone for the lake. If I want to keep the view on the lake, how can I still live with the buffer zone? I can call in something like the concept of the green window, where I'll cut the branches of the trees at the height of the view on the gem in front of my property, on the lake, the river, whatever. And I'll keep the shrubs, I'll keep the rest of the trees, I'll keep the rest of the vegetation, so that my buffer zone can fulfill its roles, can still have its whole functionality. If I want to bring back the buffer zone, well, there's two very simple ways of doing it. I can just let the vegetation grow by itself, and the buffer zone is gonna grow back by itself. If I want to control a little better the species that are growing in the buffer zone, well, I'll plant them myself, the shrubs and the trees. On the shores of a lake or a river, a stream, the techniques that are calling in the high capacity of the roots of vegetation, of trees and shrubs to keep the soil in place are much more advantageous than artificial constructions such as concrete walls or wooden walls. If on the shore of my river of my lake, I've got an artificial wall, I've got a concrete wall or a wooden wall, something like a rocky embankment, what will I do with that? Well, I won't destroy it. If it is still solid, I'll keep it in place. I may be thinking of greening it a little by planting a few shrubs, planting a few crippling shrubs on top of it, so that the branches will cover the concrete wall or will cover the rocks. I can use such things as vines pretty easily. As we've seen, there's millions of ways of bringing back a buffer zone. I'll just have to go with my own taste, with my own personality, and just not being afraid of it. If I want to have a little more information about the species to be used, the techniques to use, I can easily go and see the website of the MCI where I can find such information. If I really don't feel that I've got any kind of a green thumb, I'll keep in mind that in the townships there's a few companies that are specialized in erosion control and in greening the banks. If I had a few more tricks to keep in mind if I want to contribute to the health of the lake, first it'll be that when I'm doing construction or when I'm doing renovation, I'll make sure that there's no soil that is being kept subject to erosion. I'll cover the dirt as soon as possible. I'll keep as much of trees possible on my land. The forest cover is our best ally to control the waters running on my land. When I'm using a boat or a sea-doo, I'll be careful about the speed that I'm going at when I'm closer to the shore. I'll make sure that I'm not putting back into the water column the sediments that are settled at the bottom of the lake. But how can I make sure that the rest of the people that I'm sharing that watershed with are walking the same path as I am? I can make sure that the rest of the people are doing the part also by going to see my Lake Dwellers Association going to see the Lake Dwellers Associations such as the MCI that's been working for the last 40 years to fight for the environment. The MCI that is in need for human resources. I'll go and see the reunions of the municipal council. I'll make sure that the ditches, the roads are maintained right. When I'm seeing something that might be out of the legislation anywhere in the watershed, well, I'll call my municipal inspector. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it to the people around me. I'll talk to my neighbor about it. Personally, why am I spending so much of energy trying to understand our ecosystems, trying to always have the most positive impact on my environment? Well, it is that it's so beautiful. It's amazing how beautiful is the lake, how beautiful are the rivers. I like to take advantage of it, and I would like the people that comes after me to be able to take advantage of it too. Why am I involved in environmental protection? I was involved in environmental protection for the last 10 years or so because I know that it is when everyone is going to participate that will bring back the health of our ecosystems. I know that it is so easy to point a finger at, but environmental protection, it starts with oneself. I'm staying positive and I know that we're going to succeed because there's so many well-intended people. When we know what to do, it is so easy to contribute to the health of our ecosystems, bringing back the buffer zone on everyone's land. It is so easy and it contributes so much to the health of our lakes. We'll never say it enough. Let's just give a chance to nature so that it can perform its own job, its own work.